Great, so let's get started. Welcome to TD Culture Lab, Build Your Creative Business with Sandra Clarke. My name is Susan Durnan, and I'm the administration lead of the Mississauga Arts Council. This webinar is part of our TD Culture Lab Professional Development webinar series, presented by Mississauga Arts Council and sponsored by TD Bank Group. The Mississauga Arts Council is a registered charity dedicated to fostering the growth of the arts sector by cultivating creative opportunities and connections between artists and residents of Mississauga and beyond. MAC is dedicated to providing service-based programming to artists, funding artist-led programs, and growing awareness of the arts to build a vibrant and thriving cultural community. The Mississauga Arts Council acknowledges that the land on which we gather is part of the treaty and traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat and Wyandot Nations. We're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land, and we give our respect to these peoples and their ancestors who have been inhabitants and caretakers of this land since time immemorial. We also recognize that Mississauga is now home to many global Indigenous peoples. Sandra has a very full agenda, so I'm going to hand things over to her now so that we can get started and get learning.
Great. Thank you, Susan. I'm really happy to be here. I'm in Mississauga as well. And I am going to share my screen and jump right into it. If you have questions, you can type them in the chat, like Susan said. I'm probably going to do the big Q&A at the end because I might answer your question as I move into towards the presentation. So here I go, sharing my screen. Okay, so welcome to Build Your Creative Business. My name is Sandra Clarke, and instead of introducing myself on a bigger scale, I'm going to be demonstrating in ChatGPT my bio, my artist bio, and my artist statement at the end of each of those two segments. In this class, we're going to talk about how to write an effective artist biography, artist statement, and an artist resume, which is also a CV, called a CV. And it's a great way to share your creative story. So artists need tools, and three of the most important tools are your bio, your statement, and your resume. So you need these things. You need a bio. You can just open up in Google if you like using Google or Microsoft. You get yourself a Google Doc. I like Google Doc, and you'll be creating your bios and your statements and your resume, and you can have it all in one big file and tweak it as you need to. And we're going to be talking about tweaking and what's called for in these artist collateral. So you do need an artist bio, statement, and CV for whenever you have a call for submission to art galleries or events. If you're going to be writing a proposal to art directors, curators, music producers, acting schools, things like that. Interviews for media, blogs, televisions, podcasts, and even magazines. There's still magazines around. Podcasts are huge, and video is huge right now. That's the trend. You'll need it for your public relations and your marketing and catalogs, portfolio, and any type of residencies that you might be applying for, and grants, lots of grant writing. Okay, let me just see. I just want to just move this up out of the way. Okay. And of course, your website if you've got a website. Okay. So who is this course for? Who is this class for? So if you're a new artist and you've maybe never even seen an artist bio, you've heard of it, or you might not have heard of it, or a statement. So it's for new artists who are just learning about these things. Emerging artists who have some experience, but still want a little bit of help to start to write an impressive collateral. And even for established artists, because we often still need to refresh our bio, and sometimes trends change. And if we're not on board on what the trend is, we can be left behind a little bit. So writing your artist bio, statement, and resume correctly will result in a polished professional appeal that will propel your creative career in the right direction. So even though you're an artist, if you want, not all artists have an art business, but a lot of artists have an art business. I was recently having this discussion with Laurie Jones. She's the curator and art director up at Rails End Gallery in Halliburton. And we were talking about that. If you want to sell your art, you're basically a business. You are a business. So knowing how to write your collateral, which is your bio, your statement, and your resume, is a great way to sort of build that foundation of your business. So in this, I call it workshop class course. In this evening of that we're sharing together, we are going to talk about the technical criteria that is still kind of an industry standard. I don't see any of this information ever going anywhere, even though trends could change. And we want to talk about what art directors and curators expect to read in your bios and statements. We are going to talk about AI, some chat GBT. And I know that does bring some controversy into the art world, especially for writers, where there is, a fear that AI is going to take over a lot of creative jobs, and it's just not perfected yet, and it will never have that human touch, because even if you use chat GBT or any type of AI format, you still have to put your voice into it. So there's still there's a way of using AI, artificial intelligence, to your benefit without it taking over somebody's job. So, and I put some links, 3 links at the beginning, and I'll put them at the end as well. If you join my email list, my email or my website's really simple. It's my name, Sandra Clarke with an E on the end.ca. And you can get the ebook of this course. This course last year was an ebook first, and it was a generous grant from the Mississauga Arts Council. And I have the the logos here, and I received a grant to write the book, and then this is the course based on the book. So even though you're attending this course, you'll also have an opportunity to see it in writing, which there's more detail in the book than I will be talking about now. And there'll be like some worksheet things that you can go through that are in the book. Also, a lot of what I'm talking about now, I have I think it's about 33 minutes of YouTube videos. And so you can just revisit them. And I also have a Facebook group with almost 1,000 people in it. And it's just a group where you can just go in, ask questions, share your art, the ebook, and you can download it if you like, and the websites and the Facebook group. So an artist bio and a statement and a resume, they're essential marketing tools. So if you do want to sell your art, or even if you're not selling your art, but you want to get into galleries or any type of submissions, you're still marketing, even if you don't intend to have an income from your art. You're still marketing. And so these things will be able to move that creativity part of your career forward. And a correctly written bio and statement especially can really create that positive buzz that'll result in establishing yourself as a contemporary artist. Okay. So you can take some notes if you want. We're going to go systematically through what I just touched on. And we're going to talk about the artist bio, the technical criteria that everybody expects. So there's a couple of things that are industry standards. Now, saying that, it's always okay to tweak a little or tweak a lot. Read the room and you'll know, what you can get away with, which is maybe a little outside of the norm. The length of an artist bio generally, this is all over the place, but generally, if you're just gonna, if you are just tweaking a bio or you've never written a bio, aim for 100 to about 500 words to begin with. There's going to be times that you're going to be asked to submit a 50-word bio, and that's where AI comes in. So you might have a standard bio of about 400 words that you put on your website, or any descriptions that you use for when you're submitting your artwork to events and galleries and such. And but generally speaking, if you have a solid idea between that 100 and 500 words. But if you're applying to something and the brief, so what the curator or the art director said to do in the bylines, stick to that, like to the letter, stick to what you're being asked for. Okay, one thing about a bio that is, it's written in the third person. So you're writing about yourself, but in the third person. So you're, Sandra Clarke was born in, and she does this type of art. Her earliest inkling of getting into the arts was, so I'm writing in the third person. And it feels weird at first, but then like you just keep doing it and you'll get used to it. Or ask somebody else to do it if you want, but you, and just so you're writing that in the third person. You want to have it's your artistic story, and you want to include a really great photograph of yourself. Recently, I've had the opportunity of looking at a lot of different artists, like their Instagrams and things like that. And the quality of their photo that they've done, it has nothing to do with their art, or it's a really, it doesn't reflect what they want to, what I know that they want to. They're professional artists and they want an art business. And the photo is just, the photo that they use is really of lesser quality than they really can be doing. So always make sure that you've got kind of a really great photo. And it reflects what you do. If you're a painter, maybe have an action shot of you painting, or if you're a singer or an actor or photographer, those are great photos if you're a photographer, of you with your camera. Okay, and diction is super important, and that's where we're going to I'm going to do a live chat GBT bio, using myself as the guinea pig. And after each of the section, after I talk about artist bio, I'm going to do a live demonstration, and after I talk about artist statement, I'll do a live demonstration as well. And if you do have questions, like I said, you can ask them now, but I might answer them. So if you want to just write them down, and we will have time at the end of this session to chat about any questions and answers that you have. Okay, so what is expected? And again, I had said that if you're applying to something, then send in exactly what has being asked. But generally speaking, it's going to be your name and name of a studio. If you don't have a studio name, it's okay, just leave it out. Where you're born and how it influences you that's a real very interesting couple of sentences that if you have, if you do have a 500-word bio, it's always really interesting to put in where you were born, because where you're born does influence you as a person, which inevitably influences your art. And where you live now, the same thing, that influences where you live. Now I keep several different bios for several different things that I either apply to or on my website. And my website is where I like to put a lot of things about where I was born and how it influenced me and things like that. Where if I'm applying for to go into a gallery and I have to keep it brief, I might not include those things. So that's where we're going to start to use a little bit of our intuition. Um, your uh, your education and any type of workshops and things like that, you want to be able to um, talk about any type of art education if you have it. If you don't have any art education and you're self-taught, write that down too. That's education. So self-taught artist is an educated artist. And you want, and also you'll want to mention, if you've got the time, the word space for it, to mention how that education as a formal education or a self-taught artist, how that influences you and how that influences your art. You want to write down any showings or exhibits or boutiques that your art has been in, or that places that you've performed. That's always good to do too. Sometimes you will have to do some tweaking if you've done a lot of work. You've done 30 different gigs type of thing. Pick out the ones that are on your website. All the 30 can go there. But if you're applying for something in your bio, you just want to take out what's going to be the relevant information to what is going to be influencing the reader to make the decision on your participation in their event. Your artistic philosophy and insights. This is where journaling comes in, because sometimes you might not think that, oh, I don't have a philosophy or insight. I like to paint. And I would ask you to look deeper than that you might be surprised. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more in a few minutes. But journaling is really good about what's my philosophy about art and my insights. And who influenced you as an artist? Like Georgia O'Keeffe, okay, I'm not a painter, and I'm a wannabe painter, but I will never be a painter. But Georgia O'Keeffe, just her art just influenced me. And it's like, well, why? Type of thing. But I like the grandeur and the movement of her flowers, and I like that they're desert because I've never been to the desert. And so there's things like that. And there might be an opportunity to use that information about how she influences me as an artist. And even an influencer doesn't even have to be another artist. It could be a politician, or it can be, well, I know I said that, but I'm sorry. But it could be somebody, anybody that's influenced you, a speaker, just an author, things like that somebody that's influenced you, and why. You want to be talking about your awards and your honors of distinctions, and even nominations. You might have a couple of nominations that you've had and you've never won the award, but it's very important that you've been nominated. And any type of experience that is going to be related to art. Now, here's where I said, kind of getting into that journaling thing, is you want your bio to answer your big why, and you want to go deep. Now, sometimes when you don't have to spill this into a bio type of thing, but if you consider things like your childhood, and if you had trauma or if you had no trauma, your relationships and your health, your mental health, your physical health, all of those things contribute to your why. You don't have to pour that into your bio, but I guarantee that if you start to consider these things, these all-encompassing things about your life, as far as a relationship to your art, that you will start to put out some pretty impressive information into your artist bio and your artist statement, because you could start to go pretty deep. And a little story that I have told a couple of times is at the beginning of the pandemic, I was teaching a 6-week course for artists. It was an online course for artists in Halliburton who retired up there, and they weren't, they because they were in-person artists, and then the pandemic came and it's like, well, now we've got to sort of go online, and we don't know that much about online. So I was hired to do this 6-week course to get these artists to get comfortable with putting their art online. And we were talking about bios and statements, and it's Halliburton. It's beautiful. You know, there's lakes, there's hills, there's the nature is just beautiful. The trees are beautiful up there. So a lot of these people were painters, and they painted beautiful landscapes. And so when I would say to them, why do you paint? Why do you love doing art? And it's like, well, I love nature. Okay, now let's go a little deeper than that. Why do you love nature? And and then when they just keep asking why, that, okay, I'm going to make this up, but they, say somebody said, I love nature because it calms me down. Because when I was a kid, I wasn't very calm, but when I went outside, I was calm. Because maybe you had some trauma when you were a child. So going outside into nature solved a problem. Like there's that pain and pleasure thing that we run away from pain, and we want to create pleasure. So a lot of times, like if you just go deeper and deeper, now, again, you don't have to write this in your bio, but if you know why, then you could start creating some really interesting nuances to your bio by saying stuff without saying stuff. So, and people will, especially like people will, when they get to know you, they want to know you as the artist, and to differentiate yourself from other artists, because nobody's going to create anything the way you create it. That putting yourself out there, you can do it professionally. You can do it professionally, and still put yourself into the bio. If you journal and write down, go deep. And again, we were talking about education earlier. So like if what I have here is if you went to art school, or say you even attended some poetry workshops by Leonard Cohen, or you had acting classes from Lee Strasberg. And I keep this slide in, and I realize that the people that take my courses are going to soon age themselves out of knowing who Leonard Cohen and Lee Strasberg are, but I want to keep them in because I know who they are. Then obviously something that profound you would add into it, but you don't have to have this big giant art school education. Because again, that you might have taken this workshop, you might have taken some VAM courses, some painting courses, some online, especially since the pandemic. A lot of people have to take online courses and things like that. Some distance learning. This is still considered art education. I took some MoMA courses, and some California art and design courses online. And there's still credits. I still got marked, and it's still like it's still a very relevant course that can go into my bio, that type of thing. Here's some things that I wanted to talk to you about. These are some, a lot of times free, not all the time. Skillshare and Creative Live and Coursera, they offer some remote educational learnings, and a lot of times they're free, not all the time, but don't buy anything there. You can get everything online for free on YouTube, and even these places, even quite often they'll have free 30 days or something. Then just go like crazy and get all that information out of there. And of course, The Mississauga Arts Council is an amazing place to, they provide just contemporary, on top, on trend courses and free education for you to benefit from. Okay, now exhibits and boutiques. So some of you have probably had your art in exhibits and in boutiques. So when you're choosing which exhibit and boutiques to include in your bio, it depends on who your reader of the bio is. On your website and on your social media, everything can go there, everything. But when you're applying for certain things, you just want to cherry pick the relevant information. And so, and in your brochures, things like that is who's going to be the reader of your brochure or your portfolio. So just maneuver and tweak what information, but it's always great to have that grand scheme of, all your big, grocery list of things that you've done chronologically and like backwards chronologically, and then you can tweak it and add things to that. Now, if you haven't been in any exhibits or boutiques or galleries, but something's coming up in the future, include that. If you're applying to something, include that, in 4 months, this work has been accepted. And if you don't have anything at all, nothing's coming up, then think of places that you can show your art. And it can be free places. You can do it, put stuff in schools, put stuff in offices, put your artwork in libraries. Because once you put something up in a library, and that can go into your bio that it's been at, it's been at this library or this school or this fair, contests, especially like new artists. If you've gone, contests or festivals, things like that. Just, if you don't have the education, look a little deeper. And galleries, pretty much like museums have galleries. Art galleries have galleries, or boutiques and things like that. So you might not have your artwork in, you're a jewelry designer, so they're not going to hang up your earrings, in the gallery, but you can certainly approach the boutiques and sell them that way. I know when I was an artist in resident at the Living Arts Center in 2018, and they had a shop downstairs where you could put your artwork in there, and that's like this excellent place for to sell your art. And I hope it's still there. That's why I mentioned it, that it was 2018. Okay, so if you are new to the artwork and you don't have any experience, start to make that list of where to go and do it, and just do it. You've got that passion. People want to see your work. People are always looking for new works. So, get your stuff out there and you can put it in your bio. All right. Extraordinary achievements. This is a fun part of the bio that it could have a really huge impact, or you might just leave it out. But it's a great thing to just jot some notes down about some extraordinary achievements that you might not think are that big of a deal, but write them down, throw them into Chat GBT and see what kind of paragraph comes out. Keep that in your Google Docs, and you might be able to use it in your bio. So this is the place where you might be able to mention that you've done, 4 triathlons, or you've knit or crocheted 1,000 hats for premature babies. You once owned Bobby Kennedy's, boat. Again, Bobby Kennedy's up there with Leonard Cohen and Lee Strasberg. You might have won a contest making like a marshmallow sculpture, or you helped your 98-year-old grandmother rebuild a snowmobile, or you're the eldest of 17 children. All those things, they're interesting, little extraordinary, things about you that sets you apart from anybody else. And you might have that an opportunity to use that in your bio. Okay, so I was saying that like everybody has a story. You want to use your unique self. If it fits, if it into your bio, use it, but keep a great big you know, a big document of all of the information, so that every time you need a bio, you can go there and you can go, okay, this information, this information, this information, and that it's easier to use that than to recreate it every single time that you apply for something or you want to submit for any type of submissions. So let's see, where did I was at? For extraordinary achievement. So like where to put yourself out there. Podcasts, huge. Try and do a guest blog post, like anywhere that you can mention your art business, just to get yourself out there. And you don't have to add an extraordinary achievement for the sake of adding it if it fits. And sometimes it might fit. Like if you help plant 1,000 trees one summer type of thing, and you're submitting to Ontario Parks. Ontario Parks have stores. I have one of my books in their store. So Ontario Parks, you want to submit a painting that you did. You want them to sell your prints in Ontario Parks. That's a great place to mention that you planted 1,000 trees one summer. So that's those little bits of really interesting things about you can be used. Okay, so it's 8:04 right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that concludes the bio portion. So this is where I'm going to be introducing myself through ChatGPT and demonstrating. So ChatGPT, if you Google that, you'll come to OpenAI and ChatGPT. They are accepting signups now, and they have a free version, and that's what I'm going to be doing, is this free version. So here's ChatGPT. I use it on my phone and I use it on my laptop. So there, just what was there, what's the text that you see now, just ignore that. That was something I was working on yesterday. Okay. So this is who I am. Now, okay, here's an interesting fact about me. And I think a lot of artists too, is I'm neurodivergent. So that means I have ADHD. Neurodivergent is a huge spectrum, but I have ADHD and I have kind of this selective dyslexia, even though I am a fairly good writer most of the time. There are days when the ADHD and the OCD and things like that are quite high, and I need to get some written material out, but my brain's just not working that well that day type of thing, where the next day it'll be fine, no problem. I can, go ahead and write. But I might get to a point where I just have to get a bio out. I just have to, it's like, I just have to get one out. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you live. Okay. So I'm just going to write, I just have to get, say I'm at one of my heights of ADHD day, and I just have to get what's in my brain out onto paper or out into text. So I'm just going to be firing it out, and ChatGPT is going to help rewrite it so it sounds way better. So I'll do things like I, and nobody wants to read all that, and especially it's supposed to be in third person, but I just want to get it down. So I'm going to write, this is who I am. I am a zero waste artist, an educator. So I'm just going to do that. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so it's going to give me all this stuff. So, okay. What I have to put in first, I'm going to say rewrite or write a 100-word bio or artist bio for me. And then I'm just going to do the semicolon. So I'm going to say, I am a zero waste textile artist and educator in Mississauga, Ontario. I'm going to say that. So I want to, so my goal here is, this is a bio where I want to teach a course about zero waste textile artist. Okay. So I'll just, so I'm going to start with I all the time. I teach visible mending classes and improv quilting to people interested in, I'm going to just put saving the world, okay, and the environment. So I would never submit this environment. Okay. So I told ChatGPT to write a 100-word bio about this. Okay, so what it's written is my name, Sandra. So again, third person. Sandra Clarke is a zero waste textile artist and educator based in Mississauga, Ontario. Passionate about sustainability, Sandra specializes in visible mending and improv quilting, offering classes to those eager to make a positive impact on the environment. Through creative and practical techniques, she empowers individuals to transform their wardrobe and household textiles, reducing waste and fostering a culture of mindful consumption. Their work not only promotes environmental stewardship, but also celebrates the beauty and resourcefulness of innovation in textile arts. So that's pretty good, considering I just threw a couple of sentences together. But I'm now going to tell ChatGPT, use my name, Sandra Clarke. Okay, so now because you could just copy this. So now ChatGPT threw my name in there. Now, I didn't like eager. I don't like that. You know, passionate about sustainability. Sandra specializes in visible mending and improv quilting, offering classes to those eager. Okay, I don't like that. So I'm going to replace the word eager. I don't like that. Okay, so committed, to those committed to making. Committed I like better. Okay. Now, add my signature materials are reclaimed denim jeans and thrift store cotton sheets that I hand dye using rust. Okay, so I just want that to be added. Okay. Sandra Clarke is a zero-waste textile artist and educator based in Mississauga, Ontario. Passionate about sustainability, Sandra specializes in visible mending and improv quilting, offering classes to those committed to making a positive impact on the environment. Her signature materials are reclaimed denim jeans and thrift store cotton sheets, which she hand dyes using rust. Through creative techniques and blah, blah, it's the same as before. So you can see that that you can just play with this a little bit. Now, I'm going to say, make this bio 50 words. It might, see, this is where you need to, it might not be exactly 50 words. Okay, so it's going to make it shorter. And now I'm going to say, make it longer. Okay, so now it's just going to add a lot more. Make it more professional. Okay, so I'll read a little bit of it. Sandra is a distinguished zero waste textile artist and educator in Mississauga. So it's renowned for her expertise in visual mending and improv quilting. She utilizes reclaimed denim jeans and thrift store cotton sheets, meticulously ChatGPT loves the word meticulously. Hand-dyed using rust. Through her innovative classes, Sandra empowers individuals to adopt sustainable practices and reduce waste. Trying to get it out. Emphasizing creative textile arts. Her commitment to the environment, environmental stewardship fosters a culture of mindful consumption and resourcefulness. By transforming discarded materials into artistic expression, Sandra not only highlights the potential of repurposed textiles, but also inspires a profound appreciation for sustainable living and creative innovation. Okay, so I'm going to go back now to, okay. So I can't see you, but I hope you can see right there that very briefly how I can take just a few sentences that, you know, sounds like I just learned how to speak English and, you know, throw a few sentences out there, and it knows a bio is in the third person. It knows what to write if I want it longer or shorter. And I think it sounded pretty good. It's a little bit more adjective-y than I generally use, so I would still tweak it some more so that it does sound more like my voice than okay, what's going on? Oh, sorry, let me just check here. It sounds more like my voice than a machine. I don't use it all the time, but sometimes when I just want to get some information out, I really do like using ChatGPT. All right, I'm going to continue now, and we're going to go into an artist statement. So you're going to, what we're talking about today, you got your bio, third person about you, the artist, and then now we're talking about statement and what's expected. So what is an artist statement? An artist statement is the artist's written description about their work. So your bio is about you, the artist, you know, why you create, what your influences are, things like that. Third person. Statement is first person about your art. Now, here's a big description here, but generally speaking, if you're going to just write, because there's different, sorry, I just got to get myself comfy. If you're going to make a short statement, you want to include like a general introduction to your work, the body of work, or a specific project. And you can write a big artist statement for your website that includes all this information that I'm going to go through. However, if you're submitting one particular art piece, or one particular written article, or a piece of music that you want to do, so you'll be talking, your statement is going to reflect that specific piece of work that you're submitting or you're talking about. in the statement. It should open with like the basic idea and like a overview of the work in like 2 or 3 sentences or a short paragraph. So that's, you know, what you're putting out. The second paragraph should then go into more detail about how these issues or ideas are presented in your work. So that's if you're just writing a little statement, like a short statement. So it's a generalization and then a little bit bigger, a little bit more information. And then that's where and then afterwards you can put in the ideas and the influence and the philosophies. So that's just a short statement. Now, if you're going to write a larger statement, like a full page or even more, there's points in there that will help you out. And in the ebook that you'll get, I think around page 28 or something like that, you'll go through it. There's questions in there that you read the question, and then on a piece of paper, answer the questions. And then if you go through that whole, it's like like a workbook part of the guide, the ebook. So you basically answer the questions. It's like filling in the blanks. And at the end, you will have all that information that I have written here. Okay, so you want to answer the question of why you created the work and its history of that specific piece that you're submitting, or your body of work if you're writing a statement that's going on to your website. Like, why do you create this body of work? Now, what happens if you're multi-talented and you sing and you paint and you act and you write and you teach? Like, are you going to put all of that into a statement? Because at that point, it's almost, you'll be writing a book, really, if you've got all these things. So it's good to practice to have a statement, a nice solid statement on each of the different modalities that you do. And in cases where a couple of modalities do come together, then you can write a new statement. And that's where this class is good, is because you're not just going to write one bio and one statement. You'll be tweaking all the time. But you want to have that great big file of all the information in one place so that you can tweak. And you want to talk about your overall vision and what you expect your audience to get out of it. How do you hope that they'll react to your work? And again, you'll be able to write all this down from the ebook. So what do you expect from your audience? How do you hope that they will accept your work? How does your current work relate to your previous work? Because things can change a little bit. So like how does this, the statement about your current work relate it to previous work? Have you evolved or taken a different path? How your work fits in to your history of your art practice, how your work fits into maybe a group exhibit or a series of a project that you've done. What are your sources of inspiration for your the images that you might be submitting of your art? And how other artists have influenced your work, and how other people other than artists have influenced your work. How does this work fit into a series or a longer, bigger body of work? So these are just some questions that you want to be asking. They might not even be pertinent, but it's good to go through this list. And how a certain technique is important to your work. And that's where for a long time now, my go-to materials are old jeans, like I'll get from thrift stores or people just give them to me, and cotton sheets, which I've developed this way of dyeing them with rust, just hand dyeing them. And that technique is really important to my work, the whole process of rusting and what does rust mean. And And when it comes right down to it, the orange of the rust that I create, because once you wash it all out, it turns orange. And I like orange and blue together. Like that's a simple thing as well, as I like the orange and blue together. It's very pleasing to me. And I hope that other people like that as well. But there is a big technique to how I do my dyeing, how I do my hand dyeing. What is your philosophy about making art? And again, like you might think, I don't have philosophy. I like making art. That's it, type of thing. You do have a philosophy. It's just might not be something that you've drawn out yet. So journal, think about it, read about other people's philosophies, and then you'll go, oh, okay, I get that. It'll connect. And there might not be something that I'm saying now that resonates, but I bet you it will. And I'm going to give you another little story time. I was in an art retreat where there was a workshop about making masks, because we all wear masks, type of thing. And I went in there rolling my eyes because I don't wear masks. Everything, like everything with me, it's on the surface. It's, what you see is what you get, and a whole bit like that. And that was probably like 10 years ago, type of thing. Recently, I've been going, oh, I get it. Like this whole mask thing. And now I have this whole mask idea in my brain that I'm going to be doing. But that took 10 years to resonate with me. So be open-minded that if something that I say now isn't coming together with your thoughts as an artist, it will be, I promise you. And your final paragraph should just sort of recap everything in the statement. Okay, so like an artist bio, there are some technical criteria that remains an industry standard, and it is okay to break the rules every now and again. Like if it makes sense to break the rules, break the rules. An artist bio is about the artist written in the third person. I'm going to repeat this over and over again. An artist statement is about the artwork and written in the first person. So I hope that makes sense, because you can have a couple of different bios for a couple of different things. There's different lengths of bios and different voices of bios, sometimes casual, sometimes really professional, but always written in the third person, and statements about the artwork. So it's really great to just journal that down and get used to writing about those things, because they're going to come. The more you do it, the more practice that you do, the better you're going to get. And it'll be just such a joy for the reader when you submit it, information that what you're talking about, these different things. Okay, here's a little bit more about diction. Is an artist statement, because it is in the first person, we often want to, we use I and my, my artwork, I, and because it's first person, you're going to be using I and my. Try not to do it more than 2 sentences in a row. This is being picky and criteria, but it's so much more pleasant when somebody's not reading I, my. So you can use ChatGPT, or you can just, use your own brain and figure it out that you can do things like this. Like, so here's an example that I wrote here is, instead of saying, I use a dry brush technique to complete the painting, you can say, the technique I used to complete the painting was dry brush. And you don't want to end with prepositions and things like that. It's like you want to make, reword it so that it's a pleasure to read. And instead of saying something like, my favorite wool comes from Quebec wool is my favorite, things like that. So it's just more pleasant. The length of an artist statement can be as brief as a short paragraph or as long as a page or more. And whatever the curator or the art director or the producer asks for in the submission guidelines, follow that. Just always follow the guidelines. Okay. So about the answer the questions about your work. Again, this is in the ebook. So you'll be able to have the ebook either on your screen, or if you print it out, you've got it beside you, and then a piece of paper, and you read that and you write it down and let it sink in. I always like just kind of letting things, I like sleeping on it and letting my brain continue to work on that. Okay, story time again. Oh, always got a story. Okay, John Cleese, writer, comedian, the British Monty Python, Faulty Towers, just brilliant performer and writer. He and his writing partner wrote years ago, wrote a script to a movie. And it was great. It was like, they loved it. They wrote the script to the movie, fantastic. Writing partner goes home. They were going to get together in a couple of weeks. John Cleese loses the script. And he didn't want to tell. And so he looked there, 2 weeks go by. He's looking everywhere. He thought, I got to admit now that I lost the script. But he thought, you know what? I'm just going to do my best and rewrite it. Turns out the second script that he rewrote, he liked much better than the first script. And he came to the conclusion that for 2 weeks, his brain continued to work on the script that he wasn't even consciously thinking about. So that's where when I write a bio or a statement, I don't write it and then submit it. I write it, I let it go. I just go. You know, it's not due for a week. Let it go. Think about it for a day or two. You're going to be continuing to work on it. You don't even know you're continuing to work on it. And then you come back to it, and then you can tweak it, or it'll definitely be better. It'll definitely be better. And so here's some questions that you might want to ask is, who is your audience and what's in it for them? I mentioned earlier, pain and pleasure is that's basically that's you know, we're either experiencing pain or we're experiencing pleasure type of thing. So what's in it for them, your audience? Who are your influences specific to that piece of art, to that art statement? How do you make your work? Like I said, I invented this weird way of dyeing with rust, and it's really interesting. So, you know, that would definitely go into my statement. How is your relationship to your materials? I'm a zero waste artist. I really rarely buy new things. I reuse what I've got. People give me stuff. I'll go to a lot of thrift stores. I go to thrift stores. If I absolutely have to buy something, I will. But it's not, my go-to isn't new. And how is your work unique? This is the first time the word unique has come up in this this session, because unique's kind of like, I thesaurus that word so much because I don't mind using it once, type of thing, but everybody's work is unique. So, you know, if you can, I'll use unique now, but if you can find a different way of saying that, please do. Okay, and then again, there's two types. There's a long statement that you can write for your website and update it as you need to, and then a short one for very specific projects. Live demonstration time. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to tell ChatGPT, write an artist's statement for me. And then I'm just going to tell him my name's Sandra Clarke. Write an artist statement for me about the repurposed jeans and gold drapes that I used to make a dress for a submission to Mississauga Art Gallery. Okay, so let's see what comes up. Okay. That's a lot of words for that is a lot of words for one sentence. Okay. So here what it says is, in my latest work, does not start with I or my. In my latest work, a dress crafted from repurposed jeans and gold drapes, I explored the intersection of sustainability and beauty. This piece, submitted to the art gallery or Mississauga Art Gallery, represents a culmination of my commitment to zero waste. It remembered that I'm a zero waste artist, practiced, and my passion for transforming discarded material into art. The denim jeans, once everyday garments, symbolize resilience and the passage of time, carrying the story of their previous wearers. By juxtaposing them with the oh my gosh, sorry. See, this is me with my dyslexia and stuff.
Opulence.
Opulence of gold drapes. I created a dialogue between the humble and the luxurious, the ordinary and the extraordinary. The drapes sourced from thrift stores, which I bought today, added a touch of elegance by contrast, emphasizing the transformative power of repurposing. Hand dyeing the fabrics using rust techniques further enriched the textile and hues, infusing the dress with a sense of history and continuity. Each rust stain and stitch in this testament of beauty can, let me just do this, can emerge from what often is considered waste. This process not only preserves the integrity of the material, but also reimagines their potential, inviting viewers to consider their preconception of the value of disposability. So basically, it's gorgeous. It's what they've said is really great, but it's still not my voice. So I would take that and sorry, and I would put my voice in, or I would say, make it sound this, make it sound that. Here I'm going to say, make it 50 words. Okay, it'll be more than 50 words, but there you go. So, oh, and here that just says I've reached my limit. That's no big deal. Okay, so here it says, my dress crafted from repurposed jeans and gold drapes symbolizes the fusion of resilience and elegance. Hand dyed with rust, this piece submitted to the Mississauga Art Gallery highlights the beauty of repurposed materials, advocating the sustainable art practice of redefining perceptions of value and disposability. So ChatGPT, it's free. It's not ever going to be perfect, which is fine, you know, but it's a jump off point. If you don't know where to start with a bio and with a statement, it's a good jumping off point. So I hope that you will consider using that. We are almost done, and then we'll do some questions. Okay. So resume, this is a very short part, part of the presentation, because a resume, it's like any resume. You know, you're starting with, you've got your name and your address, and then you have your either your exhibits or your art experience. Like, so when I send a resume, I got a couple of different resumes, because I've got a resume as an artist, a zero waste textile artist, but I also have a resume for teaching craft. So I teach visible mending, I teach craftivism, I teach improv quilting, but I also teach business art business information about by artist bios and statements and resumes and social media marketing for artists, things like that. So there's a lot of how to digitize your work. So I wouldn't put if I'm going to be submitting my resume to teach for Creative Bug, an online education for craft. They're not going to care if I want to teach improv quilting. They're not going to care that I'm a really good marketer or I can get your social media out there, things like that. So I'll leave that part out. So again, you're going to have a couple of different resumes. It depends on where you're sending it to. So you want your personal education and that, or your personal information, your education, exhibits, collections, any type of special projects or residencies, awards, nominations, and teachings. So that's going to go in just like any other resume. You want to keep it neat and clear, and you can occasionally make a subtle personalization. And what I mean about that is if you're a painter, you know, or an illustrator, it would be okay to put a little teeny, you know, part of you on your statement. Sometimes I've done a cross stitching thing on the paper type of thing, and then you put it in sections. So you have your personal information, and then you have your work or gallery or shows or employment information, starting from the most recent, and then you go backwards. And then education is another section. And then a really great section that I always like is kind of that special stuff that you know, where you can put awards, interests, hobbies, things like that. And depending on who the reader is, you can get really creative. If you're submitting to participate into a very lighthearted festival and everything's very casual and creative and friendly, it would be okay to put under interest something like bobbing for lobsters, you know, like things like that. It just, that would be creative and fun to put in that, but I wouldn't put that in if I was applying to teach at the Royal like the art gallery or the museum or things like that. Like I would leave out bobbing for lobsters on something like that. Okay, people when they read your resume, they're gonna just sort of go over it really quick. Like it's just their eyes are just naturally gonna go over and then they'll come back type of thing. So when you if you're writing it in point form, which most of us do, kind of that very first word on the left-hand side of the page, here's kind of a criteria thing too. Make that a really strong, active word. So instead of going, I organize, I teach, I designed, you're just going to, you know, organized fundraiser raising $500,000. Taught blind people how to sculpt, you know, designed websites for Peel Board of Education. Won, you know, a type of award, but granted, nominated, initiated, created, collaborated, established, discovered, developed, presented, showed, exhibited, contributed, composed, painted, illustrated, installed, attended, published, wrote, produced. Those are the go-to words people are going to see right off the bat and then go back. So that's in your resume where you want to where you want to get those good power words. And here again are the websites that I'll be putting in. This is the YouTube videos. There's 3 videos. I believe there are in bio statement and CVs. And I'm going to put them in the chat, and then you can click that link for the ebook. Like you'll get, if you go on my email list, but you can take yourself off if you don't want to be on there. I hardly ever send it, but when you get that, it'll like, are you human? Yes, I'm human. And then you'll get the link, the PDF link to the ebook based on this class is based on that. And there's a Facebook group if you want to join. And I'm going to stop sharing right now.
If you are interested in learning more, the Mississauga Arts Council have all of our TD Culture Lab webinars on our website. I think we have over 20 on our website right now from the past few years. Everything from grant writing to, as I said, making a movie on a budget. And what are some of the other ones we did? I can't even remember. Getting your artwork in galleries we've done. So there's lots of great resources available for free anytime you need. And you can find them all on our website at mississaugaartscouncil.com. And if you go to the programs menu, you can look for TD Culture Lab. So I'd also like to take this moment to thank Sandra for a wonderful presentation. It was so great. We learned a lot, and we really appreciate having you here tonight. Thank you so much. And also thank you to TD Bank Group for sponsoring. And thank you for everyone who is here tonight. It means so much more to have participants. So we really appreciate everyone.